Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin with a simple question, one that may quietly challenge everything you believe about success. Why is it that some people work incredibly hard every single day, yet their lives remain unchanged, while others seem to rise, grow, and advance with less effort, but far greater results? This question is not about luck, it's not about intelligence, and it's certainly not about circumstance. It's about something far more personal and far more powerful. Tonight, I want you to listen closely, because what you're about to hear is not just motivational words, it is a principle that once understood can permanently alter the direction of your career, your income, and your entire life. If you stay with me till the very end, you may discover that the biggest reason you haven't reached the level you desire has nothing to do with your job, and everything to do with how much time you've invested in yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world that praises hustle. We celebrate long hours, exhaustion, and constant business. We applaud people who say, "I work day and night." But here's the uncomfortable truth. Working hard is not the same as working wisely, and effort alone does not guarantee progress. Many people spend years pushing harder on their job, believing that if they just work more, sacrifice more, and stress more, life will eventually reward them. Yet years pass, and the reward never seems to arrive. Frustration grows. Confidence fades, and dreams quietly shrink. What if I told you the problem was never the job? What if the real issue was not how hard you were working, but what you were working on? Most people wake up every morning focused on tasks, deadlines, responsibilities, and obligations. They ask, "What do I need to do today?" Very few stop to ask the question that determines the quality of their future: who do I need to become to achieve the life I want? That question is powerful, and it's also uncomfortable because it places responsibility exactly where it belongs. Ladies and gentlemen, your job is a place, but you are the source. A job can give you a paycheck, but it cannot give you ambition. A job can assign you duties, but it cannot give you discipline. A job can demand performance, but it cannot give you vision. Those things must be developed intentionally, consistently, and personally. If you listen carefully today, you may realize that success is not something you chase outside of yourself. It is something you attract by the person you are becoming on the inside. Your skills, your mindset, your attitude, and your ability to grow determine how far you can go, long before your title or position ever does. This introduction is only the beginning, because once you truly understand why working harder on yourself is the foundation of every meaningful achievement, you will never look at your job, your challenges, or your potential the same way again. So stay with me. Not because I want your attention, because your future deserves it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin with a truth that many people learn too late in life. Your job can make you a living, but it can never make you a life. A job can pay your bills. It can put food on the table. It can keep the lights on and the rent paid. But a job cannot give your life meaning, purpose, or direction. That responsibility belongs to you. Too many people confuse activity with progress. They wake up early, rush through traffic, work long hours, come home exhausted, and repeat the cycle day after day. They are busy but not fulfilled. They are employed but not empowered. And slowly, without realizing it, life becomes smaller than it was meant to be. Here's the danger: when your identity becomes your job, your potential becomes limited by your position. Your job description tells you what to do, but it does not define who you are. Yet many people allow their title, salary, or role to become the measure of their worth. When that happens, growth stops, curiosity fades, and ambition is replaced by routine. A job is external, your life is internal, and the quality of your life will never rise higher than the quality of the person living it. Think about this. Two people can have the same job, the same schedule, the same employer, and yet live completely different lives. One grows, advances, and expands. The other stagnates, complains, and settles. The difference is not the job. The difference is what they are working on after the job and beyond the job. A job will ask for your time. Life demands your growth. When you rely only on your job to define your future, you place your destiny in someone else's hands. Your income becomes dependent on decisions you don't control. Your confidence rises and falls with performance reviews, and your dreams wait quietly while responsibilities take over. But when you begin working on yourself, your mindset, your skills, your discipline, you reclaim ownership of your life. Because the truth is simple: your job responds to who you are. It does not create who you are. If you develop communication skills, your influence increases. If you develop leadership skills, opportunities appear. If you develop emotional discipline, pressure no longer controls you. Suddenly, the same job starts giving different results, not because the job changed, but because you did. Life rewards value, not effort alone, and value is personal. Your life is shaped by how you think, how you decide, how you react, and how you grow. No employer can do that for you. No position can replace that responsibility. No paycheck can compensate for personal neglect. That's why some people retire with money but no fulfillment. They worked their job, but they never worked on themselves. A meaningful life is built outside the job description. It is built in the quiet moments of learning, reflecting, improving, and becoming. It is built when you read instead of scrolling, practice instead of procrastinate, and take responsibility instead of making excuses. Ladies and gentlemen, your job will eventually end. Your life will not. One day, titles will be removed, positions will be replaced, companies will change, but the person you have become, that remains, and that person determines how well you adapt, how strong you stand, and how high you rise next. So don't ask your job to give you purpose. Don't ask your employer to give you confidence. Don't ask your position to give you identity. Build those things yourself. Use your job as a platform, not a prison. Use it as a classroom, not a comfort zone. Let it fund your life, but never let it limit your growth. Because when you work on yourself, your job improves naturally. But when you only work on your job, your life stays the same. Remember this, a job can make you a living, but only you can make a life worth living. There is a reality about success that many people avoid because it places responsibility exactly where it belongs. It says that your results are not random. Your income is not an accident. And your current situation is not simply the product of circumstances. Your income rarely outgrows your personal development. Most people believe that if they work harder, stay longer, and sacrifice more, income will automatically increase. But effort alone has a ceiling. You can only work so many hours. You can only push your body so far. Eventually, time runs out, and when time runs out, growth stops. That is why two people can put in the same hours, work in the same environment, and still earn completely different results. One continues to rise while the other remains stuck. The difference is not effort. The difference is value. Income follows value the way a shadow follows a body. When you grow in skill, your value increases. When you grow in knowledge, your value increases. When you grow in judgment, communication, and emotional control, your value increases. And when your value increases, income has no choice but to follow. People often ask for higher income without increasing who they are. They want the reward without the refinement. But life does not work that way. You cannot consistently receive more than the person you have become can handle. Think about it. If money alone created success, then everyone who earned more would automatically live better lives. But we know that is not true. Some people earn more and still struggle because income without development creates pressure instead of freedom. Personal development prepares you for the weight of success. When your thinking grows, your decisions improve. When your discipline strengthens, your consistency improves. When your mindset expands, your opportunities expand. This is why education is not about degrees alone. It is about perspective. It is about learning how to think, how to adapt, and how to grow beyond your current limits. The more capable you become internally, the more capable you become externally. Here is the part many people miss. Income does not respond to need, it responds to contribution. The marketplace does not reward desperation, it rewards competence. It does not pay for intention, it pays for results. And results are always produced by people who have invested in themselves long before the reward arrived. If you want a larger paycheck, develop larger skills. If you want greater stability, develop stronger discipline. If you want more freedom, develop higher thinking. Every level of income demands a matching level of personal growth. Without that growth, money either avoids you or escapes you. This is why personal development is not optional. It is foundational. Reading, learning, practicing, refining your mindset. These are not luxuries. They're necessities for anyone who wants long-term success. The moments you spend improving yourself may not pay immediately, but they compound quietly. And one day they show up in ways that surprise you. Your future income is already being shaped by your current habits, what you read, what you listen to what you practice, what you tolerate. All of it adds up. If you stay the same, your income will stay the same. If you grow, life must respond. It always has, and it always will. So stop chasing money and start building value. Stop asking for more and start becoming more. Because the moment you outgrow your current level, your income will be forced to rise to meet you. That is not motivation. That is a law. Most people spend their lives chasing success. They run after opportunities, titles, recognition, and approval, believing that if they move fast enough, push hard enough, or sacrifice long enough, success will eventually catch them. But what they discover, often after years of effort, is that success cannot be chased forever. Sooner or later, it demands something deeper. Success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. This idea changes everything because it shifts the focus from the outside world to the inner one. It says that before success shows up in your life, it must first show up in your character, your thinking, and your daily habits. The outer results are only a reflection of the inner foundation. Think about it carefully. Opportunities are rarely given to those who want them the most. They are given to those who are prepared for them. Preparation is not visible, but it is powerful. It happens when no one is watching. When you are reading, practicing, failing, adjusting, and growing. People are often surprised when success appears in someone's life suddenly. What they don't see are the years of quiet discipline that made that moment possible. Success does not arrive early. It arrives when you are ready. Becoming ready is an internal process. When you develop confidence, people trust you. When you develop clarity, people follow you. When you develop competence, Opportunities seek you. Success is drawn to strength, stability, and consistency. It avoids chaos, excuses, and emotional unpredictability. That is why personal growth is not just about improvement. It is about alignment. You align who you are with what you want. Many people ask, how do I get more opportunities? The better question is, who do I need to become to deserve them? If you are not attracting the level of success you desire, it is not punishment. It is feedback. Life is simply showing you where growth is still required. Instead of feeling discouraged, this should make you empowered because growth is within your control. You cannot force success to stay if your habits cannot support it. You cannot maintain opportunity if your discipline collapses under pressure. You cannot lead at a higher level if your character remains unchanged. This is why success often leaves people as quickly as it arrives. They reached a level their development could not sustain. Becoming more is not about perfection. It is about progress. It is about refining how you think, how you respond, and how you decide, especially when things are difficult. Success is attracted to those who can handle responsibility without ego and pressure without panic. Your daily actions are quietly shaping what you attract tomorrow. What you tolerate sets the standard. What you repeat builds your identity. What you believe determines your limits. As you grow, your environment responds. People begin to see you differently, not because you demanded respect, but because you earned it through consistency and integrity. Doors begin to open, not because you knocked louder, but because you became the kind of person worth opening them for. Success recognizes readiness. If you want better outcomes, become better at decision-making. If you want greater influence, become better at listening and leading. If you want lasting success, become stronger internally than your challenges externally. Stop asking, when will success come? Start asking, who am I becoming every day? Because the answer to that question determines everything. Success will not be chased. It will be attracted naturally, inevitably, and permanently by the person you choose to become. In the beginning, skills open the door. They help you get noticed, get hired, and get paid. Skills matter. They create income, opportunities, and access, but skills alone are not enough to sustain success, because while skills may pay the bills, character is what builds the future. Many people rise quickly because they are talented, they speak well, think fast, and deliver results. But just as quickly, some of them fall. Not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked character. Talent can take you far, but character determines how long you stay there. Character is what shows up when no one is watching. It is how you act when it would be easier to quit. It is how you respond when things don't go your way. Skills can be taught in classrooms. Character is built through choices. When pressure increases, skill gets tested, but character gets revealed. Under stress, true habits surface. Under responsibility, true values appear. That is why long-term success always favors those who have both competence and integrity. You can teach someone how to do a job. You cannot easily teach someone how to be dependable. A person with skill but no discipline becomes unreliable. A person with skill but no humility becomes difficult. A person with skill but no integrity becomes dangerous. This is why organizations may hire for skill but promote for character. Leadership is not about what you can do. It is about who you are while doing it. Influence is not granted to the most talented. It is entrusted to the most stable. Character builds trust, and trust builds futures. Every meaningful opportunity in life rests on trust. Trust that you will show up, follow through, and act responsibly. Without trust, even the best skills lose their value. Character is built daily, not dramatically. It is built when you keep your word even when it costs you. It is built when you do the right thing without applause. It is built when you choose growth over comfort. The future does not belong to the fastest learner alone. It belongs to the most grounded individual. In a world that changes quickly, character becomes the anchor. Skills may evolve, tools may change, industries may shift, but character remains relevant in every season. This is why the strongest people are not always the loudest. They are the most consistent. They do not chase recognition. They build reliability, and reliability creates long-term impact. Your habits are training your character every day. When you arrive on time, you build respect. When you prepare, you build confidence. When you take responsibility, you build leadership. None of these things may seem impressive in the moment, but over time they compound. The future is not built by grand gestures, it is built by repeated standards. Skills can earn you income. Character determines how you manage it. Skills can give you authority. Character determines how you use it. Without character, success becomes fragile. With character, success becomes sustainable. The goal is not just to be capable. The goal is to be credible, because when your character is strong, people trust you with bigger responsibilities, longer-term opportunities, and greater influence. And that trust becomes the foundation of a future that does not collapse under pressure. Skills may pay the bills today, but character is what builds a future that lasts. Most people want their life to change, but very few want to change themselves. They want better results without better habits, new outcomes without new thinking, and progress without discomfort. But life does not respond to wishes, it responds to transformation. If you change, everything changes. This is not a motivational phrase, it is a principle. It explains why some people break through while others remain stuck in the same cycle for years. External circumstances may influence your life, but they do not determine it. Your internal decisions do. People often wait for the environment to improve before they improve. They wait for the right timing, the right opportunity, or the right support. But growth does not wait for permission. It begins the moment you decide to take responsibility. Your habits are shaping your future long before your future arrives. If you think the same thoughts, you will make the same decisions. If you make the same decisions, you will get the same results. And if you get the same results, your life will look the same year after year. Change does not start with action. It starts with awareness. The moment you become aware of what is holding you back, your excuses, your distractions, your fears, you gain power over them. What you recognize, you can change. What you ignore controls you. Changing yourself is not about becoming someone else. It is about removing what no longer serves you. It is about refining your discipline, sharpening your focus, and strengthening your emotional control. Small internal changes create massive external shifts over time. When you become more disciplined, time begins to work for you instead of against you. When you become more intentional, opportunities become clearer. When you become more patient, pressure loses its grip. Life begins to respond differently when you do. People treat you based on how you treat yourself. Opportunities find you based on how prepared you are. Results follow you based on the standards you live by. Nothing changes until you change, but once you do, everything follows. Growth is uncomfortable because it demands honesty. It forces you to confront habits you've defended and patterns you've justified. But discomfort is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of expansion. The person you are today was shaped by past choices. The person you become tomorrow will be shaped by the choices you make now. Change is not an event. It is a daily practice. It happens when you choose discipline over delay. It happens when you choose learning over comfort. It happens when you choose responsibility over blame. Each decision may seem small, but collectively, they redefine your life. The environment will not change to suit you. You must grow to meet it. When you do, life opens in ways you could not access before. Not because the world became easier, but because you became stronger. This is why personal development is so powerful. It gives you control in a world where many things are uncontrollable. It allows you to respond instead of react, to lead instead of follow, and to grow instead of repeat. If you stay the same, nothing changes. If you grow, everything improves. Change yourself and your standards rise. Change yourself and your confidence strengthens. Change yourself and your future expands. You don't need to change everything at once. You just need to change something consistently. Because once you begin, momentum takes over. If you change, everything changes. And that is how transformation begins. Every day, people make investments. They invest time, energy, and money into careers, businesses, possessions, and plans for the future. They study markets, compare returns, and calculate risks. Yet the most important investment, the one with the highest return and the lowest risk, is often ignored. The greatest investment you will ever make is you. Everything else you invest in depends on who you are. A business only grows to the level of the person running it. A career only expands to the level of the individual behind it. Opportunities only reward those who are prepared to receive them. Without personal growth, even the best opportunities lose their power. When you invest in yourself, the return compounds for a lifetime. Skills can be taken away, positions can be replaced, money can be lost, but knowledge, discipline, character, and mindset stay with you wherever you go. No market crash can remove them. No economic shift can devalue them. They increase your ability to adapt, recover, and rise again. Many people hesitate to invest in themselves because the return is not immediate. Learning takes time. Growth requires patience. Discipline demands consistency. But the most valuable returns are never instant. They are cumulative. What you become is always worth more than what you own. Personal investment shows up in how you use your time. Time is the most honest currency you have. You spend it whether you choose to or not. When you spend time learning, reflecting, and improving, you are building an asset that never stops paying dividends. Reading shapes your thinking. Practice sharpens your ability. Reflection strengthens your judgment. These are not dramatic actions, but they are decisive. Investing in yourself also means setting standards. It means choosing growth over comfort, truth over excuses, and responsibility over blame. It means recognizing that no one is coming to rescue your potential. You must claim it. Your future will demand more from you than your past ever did. And the only way to meet that demand is to grow intentionally. Waiting does not prepare you. Complaining does not prepare you. Only development does. The strongest people are not the luckiest. They are the most prepared. When challenges arrive, and they will, the person who has invested in themselves responds differently. They adapt faster, they stay calmer, they make better decisions. While others panic, they progress. This is why self-investment creates confidence. Not confidence based on opinion, but confidence built on competence. You trust yourself because you have prepared yourself. Every chapter of life rewards growth. When you are young, investing in yourself creates opportunity. When you are building, it creates momentum. When you are established, it creates sustainability. And when things fall apart, it creates resilience. No one can take away what you have built internally. That is why self-investment is not selfish, it is strategic. When you grow, you contribute more, you lead better, you serve stronger, you become an example rather than a warning. The question is not whether you can afford to invest in yourself. The question is